Jo, Regelt, Kivanok. I sat here for about 30 seconds to a minute thinking, what should I call my video? And in part because there's not too much on my mind today. There's stuff on my mind, but nothing of any particular significance. It's just the average mundane stuff. But hmm, boy, that's good. But anyway, sometimes I think about the craziest things, and I'm probably no different than you. And I was laying there in my bed this morning, and I was thinking about the whole concept of I don't know if it's a concept or not, but the whole thinking about the whole thought of having a soul. You have a soul. Everybody likes to think within you is a soul. And the other day I was talking about, when you actually think about the overall picture of things, and I was referring to a speck of dust, on your fingertip, and the fact that you and I and what have you are nothing more than that little speck of dust, if even that tiny speck of dust in the overall scheme of the universe. I like to think that the soul within me is bigger, is bigger than all that, and I always like to, when I think about souls, these are just crazy thoughts that I'm sharing with you today. When I think about souls, when you think about a soul, you think about eternity. And when you think about eternity, there's no need to procreate, so to speak. So I always wonder, or I've wondered in the past, I should say, if souls are void of genders. You don't have, are there women's souls and men's souls, or men's souls and what have you? Because if there's no need to procreate, then the soul doesn't really have a gender, does it? And I don't know where I think of these crazy thoughts, but the other thing that often challenges me a little bit is when a man and a woman get married, and they are soulmates, so to speak. They're soulmates, and they get married, and unfortunately one leaves, one passes away, one dies, and goes to heaven, so to speak, and then the other one down here gets married again, finds somebody and gets married again. And, I'd like to be a bug on the wall, if there's bugs in heaven. I'd like to be a little fly on the wall up in heaven when Harry gets up there, and Betty's waiting for him, and the two of them sitting around, and then Susie shows up, and the three of them are kind of sitting around, and what have you. It's just crazy. You can tell that I'm reaching for thoughts today, but anyway, I don't even know what prompted these thoughts, and I'm probably not the only one that has such thoughts running through my head. But what else is on my mind? I was talking with my lovely travel companion, and I hope that she'll partake in the video, so I can stop calling her. Well, I'll still call her my lovely travel companion, but it would be nice to call her by her. It'd be nice to call her by her name when I'm doing the videos. But but anyway, I hope that she'll want to partake in the videos, and I'm sure that many of you do as well. But I was talking with her yesterday, and she's. I guess it's just natural, that she's a little bit nervous and she's a little bit worried, but she's excited. She's really, you can hear the excitement in her voice. And yesterday she told me that this is the trip that she never ever would have been able to take, in her life, and she's worried that that maybe she'll bother me. because, we were talking about the fact that essentially we're two strangers. I mean, we know each other, but for all intent and purpose, we're two strangers, and and she's a little bit worried that that she's going to bother me. I don't worry that I'm going to bother her. I'm, but but she's worried that she may be a bother to me. And I tried to rest her. I tried to rest her anxiety and worry by telling her that at the end of the day, I have a kind, gentle, caring, patient, and loving heart, and not to worry, that she's going to be fine. And the thing that's most important to me is her safety. I showed her my unicycle yesterday, and I told her that maybe I'll teach her how to ride, and I was just somewhat joking a little bit, but she said that she'll try it. And the last thing I want to do is put her on a unicycle, helmet or not, and have her get hurt. But anyway, but I told her that the most important thing to me is that we have a safe trip, a relaxing trip, a fun trip, a trip that'll give her some memories for a lifetime, and hopefully we will. So I'm toying around with the itinerary, and it's not easy putting the itinerary for such a trip together, and in part because I don't necessarily want an itinerary. I just want enough time. I want enough time to have some relaxation. What I'd really like is to find my way into Northern California. I want to find my way into California. That's where my heart is, and I want to find my way into California and spend the better part of 2 or 3 weeks in California, and that's ultimately what I'd like to do. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to have enough time to visit British Columbia, Victoria Island, or is it Vancouver Island? Vancouver Island, I think it is. Vancouver Island and Banff and Jasper and what have you. But so it's just a little bit of a challenge putting the whole thing together. But hopefully everything will come together. I woke up this morning, interestingly enough, and there were two emails from these companies wanting to sponsor me. And ironically, both companies had outdoor equipment. And hmm, so I was looking through some of the equipment that these companies are wanting me to review on my website, if you will. And I chose one was those little things you take to the beach. It's like well, not almost like a tent or a canopy or something like that, and you sit it on the beach, and the front of it opens up, what have you. But so I asked for one of those, and then another one that they sent me was kind of like a screened in tent, so to speak. If you at a campsite and you have a picnic table or something like that, you can kind of put down this screened in area, and you'll be free of the bugs. So anyway, that was kind of interesting that those things came about. And then that gentleman that owns that company that I got the clothes hanger for the back of the truck, he I got the word today that care package is going to arrive today. So it's going to be interesting to see what's in the care package that this gentleman is sending me as far as travel accessories. Hmm. So that's really it. That's it about the trip. My lovely travel companion gets on a plane in Budapest about the same time that I'll be doing my video on Wednesday mornings. I think she boards around 11 o'clock. Budapest time on Wednesday, and she'll be arriving here at 11, well, about 10:20. So I got to get. She's going to be staying in what was my dad's room here. So she'll be staying in my dad's room, and I got to get that room all set up for her, and maybe I'll put some flowers in there or something for her. When for her arrival. Just I want her to feel comfortable, and I want her to feel at home. So that's really really important to me. But anyway, yesterday, every now and then I'll go through these little periods of self doubt. And yesterday was one of those days. I was sitting here getting my kitchen all spiffy and clean, and I found myself thinking about my tendency to do these videos, and little feelings of self doubt, were crawling into my head, as far as whether these videos are stupid or what have you. And I had been thinking earlier in the day, I used to love, and I still do for that matter, listening to talk radio. I used to love listening to talk radio. I would listen as a little kid. I would listen to this guy. Oh, what was his name? Pete Franklin. He was always talking about sports out of Cleveland. And then for years and years and years, I'd listened to Bill Wattenberg, who has since passed. I'd listen to Bill Wattenberg on late nights on Saturday and Sunday nights. I'd sit out in the garden with a glass of wine and a cigar, and I'd listen to Bill Wattenberg, or I'd listen to whatever. It doesn't matter. I'd listen to a lot of different talk shows. These days, as a matter of fact, I'll listen to what's his name, Dave Ramsey, the financial guy that talks. But anyway, it'd be curious to see what all would be involved in actually starting my own little radio talk show, or my podcast. That would be quite something. Taking callers. Taking callers. Bill from Seattle, you're on the line. What's on your mind today, Bill? Something like that. But just starting up my own little talk show. But anyway, maybe someday I will do that. But anyway, as I was thinking about that, I was listening to Rich Dad Poor Dad on Audible, and I bookmarked it at a certain section, and I was going to play it for you, because it's kind of interesting. It talks about your greatest fears in life. What are you afraid of? And everybody, I think, for most part, is afraid of dying. Everybody's afraid of dying, or afraid of the unknown. But there's something that many people are more fearful of than dying. And it's basically what I do every day here. I get up and I just stand in front of a camera, and I could be talking to one person or a million people. It doesn't matter. What I'm doing is public speaking. Essentially, I'm doing public speaking. And listen to this little excerpt hopefully it's queued up correctly, but listen to this little excerpt on Rich Dad Poor Dad that I heard yesterday. Maybe you'll find it interesting as I did. Alexa, play Rich Dad Poor Dad on Audible.
Getting your selection from Audible. Resuming Rich Dad Poor Dad. There's 2 minutes left in the chapter and 4 hours, 42 minutes left in the book.
Mike's sister would check the kids as they left to make sure they weren't borrowing any comic books. She also kept the books, logging in how many kids showed up.
Alexa, stop. Anyway, it didn't work, because I thought I would have had it queued up. But in the book, they were talking about, or he was talking about, the fact that public speaking, for a lot of people, public speaking is more of a challenge, and more of a fear than actually the fear of dying. And it goes on to talk about, the reason being is that so many people are fearful of, criticism of others. What are others going to think about you? What are others going to say about you? What are others, what have you? And it was just a fascinating, discussion into the psychology of human beings, and as it relates to, fundamental fears. And that's one thing that I'm grateful for over the years, that I achieved a point and place in my life where I'm not going to say I don't care what other people think about me, because I do. I do care about what other people think about me, but not to the extent that what other people think about me, really uh, influences my decision making process so much. But anyway, just a fascinating discussion. I wish that it had queued up to the. I wish that it had queued up to the right spot. For any of you out there that are into books on tape, or reading in general, Rich Dad Poor Dad is really a fascinating story. It's a great book. It's a really really great book. It's a story of a young guy growing up in Hawaii, and his best friend. I think his best friend's name is Michael. Uh, is a rather well-to-do dad. He's the rich dad, and the gentleman and the young boy, who the story is told through. His dad is a poor dad. His dad is a school teacher. Doesn't have a lot of money per se, but the book is the story of the lessons of life that these two young boys got from both the rich dad and the poor dad, and really really valuable, invaluable lessons, I should say. So if you're so inclined to get the book, it's a good book. My my lovely travel companion, she's going to be listening to the book on tape as we drive down the road. So you know what I'm going to do is, I think I was thinking that I was going to hire her to do some work for me. Just whatever. It's not a problem for me to find work for somebody to do, because there's no shortage of stuff that I need to have done in relation to my own personal work, that just about anybody can do. But I was going to find some work for her to do, but then it dawned on me that this might be a perfect opportunity to have my own personal Magyar tutor, uh, my own tutor, my own tutor for Hungarian, and she can teach me. She can give me like an hour a day lesson in Magyar, and then when the trip is all over after 3 months, whereas now I know just enough Magyar to make me dangerous. maybe maybe I'll know just enough Magyar to make me, well, I don't know, you finish the sentence. But anyway, boy, for me to walk the streets of Budapest and to be able to engage the Hungarians in their native tongue, oh man, what I wouldn't give to be able to do that. What I wouldn't give to be able to do that. That reminds me of a question from the Book of Questions. If you could wake up tomorrow having gained any one talent or ability, and I want you to answer this in the comments down below. If you could wake up tomorrow with any new, any single talent or ability, what would that be? And it's a great question to think about. For me, I would like to be able to wake up tomorrow, go down to the nearest airport and get on a plane destined for anywhere in the world, any place, and to be able to step off that plane and be able to fluently speak and understand the language, no matter where I went in the world. Could you imagine, no matter where you went in the world, to be able to just step into a cafe and just engage people in conversation? We're probably headed that way with Google Translate. I mean, at some point in time, the technology is going to get so good, that you'll be able to walk in. And that's how I communicated with Sylvania quite a bit in Portugal. And we're headed that way sooner or later, where language won't be the barrier that it is now when you're traveling. But that would be my ability. It would be able to wake up tomorrow morning and travel the world and be able to speak and understand any language, any dialect, anywhere, anytime. Another friend of mine, when I asked him that question, said he'd like to wake up tomorrow morning and he would love to be able to wake up tomorrow morning and have photographic memory. He would be able to read something or see something or whatever it was, and just have a photographic memory of it. That was his talent or ability. So I'd be curious to know what your talent or ability is, what it would be. So anyway, let's wrap this up with the question of the day. Alexa, what's the question of the day?
Here's today's question of the day. It's from our World Capitals game pack and is worth 6 points. In which country would you find the cities Encarnacion and Concepcion, along with the capital city of Asuncion? You can answer A, Paraguay, B, Spain, C, Costa Rica, or D, French Guiana.
What is A?
You have 2 correct answers in a row. You have earned your 4th geography badge and 6 points. Located near the border of Paraguay and Argentina, Asuncion is the capital and largest city of Paraguay.
You see Simon out there? Simon's been following me for years. Simon is thinking to himself, wow, that Tom is really one smart guy. How the hell did he get that one right? But Simon, I just pulled that out of my you-know-what, as I do most of the ones that I get right. Anyway, let's do the high hope. Read, don't scan. Treat good writing with the respect it deserves. It's fine dining for the mind, not the fast food of social media or the internet. Slow reading, like the slow food movement, brings out the richness of the craft and sets our imaginations alight. And the quote is from Napoleon Bonaparte. Show me a family of readers, and I will show you the people who move the world. Show me a family of readers, and I will show you the people who move the world. So anyway, that's your those are your thoughts for the day. And have